Hi everyone, today I have a show-stopping gift idea for you. This is a great gift to give to a special friend, a special family member. This is fantastic. So when you slide it out of the belly band, you have a shadow box full of these Reese's Nutcrackers, which are just so yummy, first of all. But isn't that so cute? They're just all nested into that little shadow box, and I'm going to show you how to make it. So let's slide this one back into the belly band. Maybe easier said than done, I think. There it goes. So it is a gorgeous gift. So let's get started. This one was in Mossy Meadow. I'm making this one in Real Red. Now you're going to need a piece of cardstock that is 7 3/4 by 9 1/4. All of the measurements will be in the video description, so don't worry about having to write them down. Okay, now on all four sides, we are going to score it at 1/2 inch. Let's get in there. 1/2 inch, at 1 1/4, at 1 3/4, and at 2 1/2. And we're going to go through and do all four sides like that. So 1/2 inch, 1 1/4, 1 3/4, and 2 1/2. Rotate it again. 1/2 inch, 1 1/4, 1 3/4, and 2 1/2. And one more time at 1/2 inch, at 1 1/4, 1 3/4, and at 2 1/2. So all four sides. Then you want to bring it back to the long side, and you want to score it at 3, but only down to the second score line. And then you want to score it at 6 1/4, but only down to the second score line. So you can see that. So we only have some partial score lines there. You're going to flip it around to the other long side, and you're going to do the same thing. 3 to the second score line and 6 1/4 to the second score line. Okay, that is all of your scoring. Let me move my Simply Scored out of the way. We're going to bring in the bone folder, and we are going to burnish on all of the full score lines. Those two partial ones we are not going to worry about right now. We're going to go through and burnish all of the score lines. Okay, so this does take a minute, and this probably isn't a box that I would mass produce for a lot of people, but for a few very special people, I think I would absolutely make this box. Shadow boxes are always just so stunning. When you fill them with something fun like candy, I think that makes it even more special. So last score line here, and then we're done burnishing. So now we're going to trim away. So we are going to trim away all the full corners here. So I hope you can see this. So we have on our fourth score line and our fourth score line, we're going to cut all of those away. Now you could do this with a paper trimmer if you didn't want to use your paper snips, or if you had longer scissors, you could definitely do this. But we're just trimming out that entire corner piece. Okay, now don't worry about those partial score lines right now. We're going to leave those intact, left it up intact here. I'm going to leave it intact down here. We're going to get to those in just a second. So go through, remove all the corners. Now there is a little bit of waste on a project like this, but I think it's worth it, and that's maybe one of the reasons why you wouldn't want to make a lot of them, if there's a lot of waste. And this project does take a full sheet of cardstock to make one box, because the measurements were 7 3/4 by 9 1/4, so you need a full sheet. Okay, so we're going to get rid of all those corners. So this is what it looks like so far. And then we're going to use those partial score lines as cutting guides. So I'm going to cut down the score line, and then when I get to this second score line where that score line stopped, I'm going to kind of angle my scissors in there, and I'm going to go from this corner down to that corner, just like that. So that is the angle we want to make on all of them. So for this one, I'm actually going to flip it over because it's easier for me to work on the right side than the left side. So I'm going to cut down that score line, and I angle my scissors in here, and then just give it an angle cut down to that next score line. So that is what that looks like. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So using that as a guide, and then just cut off, just like that. And one more to do, and then we're going to start assembling. The assembling is not as complicated as you might think. So here is what your finished paper will look like. I'm going to grab some tear and tape to do the assembling on this one. So we're going to flip it over, and on all of the outside score lines, I'm going to add some tear tape, and I'm going to add them close to the score line on all 4 of these outside pieces. There we go, and one more. Okay, so there is all of your tear tape on that side, and we're going to flip it back over this side. And on these little angles that we cut, we're going to add a little piece of tear tape to that. Now there's a lot of different ways you can adhere this down. I've seen people use glue dots. I've seen people use liquid glue. I found that the tear tape worked just fine for me. You could probably also get away with some Stampin' Seal Plus on for all of the glue instead of the tear tape if you wanted, but I like the tear tape, especially for this, just because it's easy to apply and you can get pretty precise with it. So I have those on the inside on all of those angle tabs. So those long pieces are on the outside, these are on the inside. Okay, so let's get to removing some tear tape now. So I'm just going to grab my snips and go around and pull off all of the tear tape on the outside. Okay. There's any hanging over, go ahead and fold it back on itself. All right, we're going to flip it back over, and I'm going to go through and remove all this adhesive too, just so that we are prepared. We want all of the adhesive exposed, and don't glue it to your paper though. Okay, now to adhere it, I'm going to fold on this first score line and then on the third score line. This is 1, 2, 3. So we're going to fold on the first one and fold on the third one, and that will line it up exactly where it needs to be. And so once it's adhered, it'll pop up like that, like a box. Okay, so let's do the opposite side. I'm going to score on that, fold on that first one. I'm going to skip one and then fold on the third one and adhere that down, just like that. So that is the start of our shadow box, just like that. Now we're going to do the same thing on the longer sides, but we're going to just try to kind of make sure these are up so that this catches the corners, and you'll see what I mean. So we're going to fold on the first score line, and actually I'm going to do this one a little different. I'm just going to fold this up, and I'm just going to make sure that those corners just kind of rest right on there. And so this is still open, and I'm just going to tuck that under just like that. Okay, just give that a good press, at the bottom a good press, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're just going to fold that over, fold that edge tab over, just make sure the corners are lined up, fold that edge tab over, and then just kind of roll this under. Just like that. And all those score lines, because we burnished them with our bone folder, will help it all go into place really well. Give that a good press, and that is your shadow box. We're going to fill it up with our 4 little nutcrackers. These go right in here, just like that. Perfect. Move all our trash out of the way. Now I do have a belly band for this, and this measures 9 by 4 1/4. So it's 9 this way, 4 1/4 this way, and we're just going to wrap it around. So I'm actually going to remove my candies because we have to turn this upside down. I'm going to start on the back and about 1/4 inch from the edge. And I'm just going to give that a little press, a little pinch. I like to wrap my belly bands this way instead of scoring them. I think sometimes scoring them, you either get them too tight or you have to deal with like microscopic measurements. So I like to just wrap them this way. And that ensures that you don't have too tight of a belly band and everything fits. So after I get it pinched, I'm just going to go through and use my bone folder. Just make sure everything is straight top to bottom and just give it a little press. And that will just ensure those lines are nice and crisp, but everything is folded where it should be. Okay, And last one, just make sure it's top to bottom. Perfect. And so we're going to add some adhesive to our belly band, but I want this to adhere on both sides. So on this side, I'm going to add it to the front right here. And then on this side, I'm going to add it to the back. And the DSP that I'm using today is the Heartwarming Hugs DSP. Let me pull that out for you. It is a gorgeous DSP. Fun Christmas patterns. This is in our mini catalog right now. You can get it there. Just tons of beautiful Christmas patterns. All right, let's bring our box back in. We're going to adhere our belly band. The side with adhesive on the front goes up. The side with adhesive on the back goes down. And that is our belly band. So everything will slide in and out beautifully. Okay, now we can put our candies in. Put our little nutcrackers. They'll snugly fit in there. And let's decorate. So I am using the triangle stamp set to decorate. Let me pull in our completed one. I'm using the triangle stamp set. This is also in the mini catalog. So we're going to do some stamping. I have just a scrap piece here, and I have actually already pre-stamped all of our trees. I'm going to pull those in by the magic of television. But there, I did want to show you how to line this one up because I think that one is so much fun. So I'm going to actually start with the flowers for this one. And that's the leaves. Let me start with the flowers. And I'm just going to stamp that down in real red. And then I'm going to bring in my Mossy Meadow for the leaves. And let me ink this up. And then you just want to kind of figure out where those leaves go. Sometimes you have to turn it a little bit to figure it out. I think that's it. This little tiny leaf goes kind of straight up. Once you get them figured out, you can just stamp that down. Beautiful. And you have a gorgeous little poinsettia Christmas tree there. Now the triangle stamp set coordinates with our stitched triangle dies. So you want to go ahead and get the dies out of here and die cut all of your Christmas trees. And like I said in advance, I have already done that. And I've also pre-stamped some little tree trunks and fussy cut these out. There's no die for the tree trunks. You do have to fussy cut those out. So this tree is stamped in Pear Pizzazz, real red, and then real red and Mossy Meadow like you saw. Okay, so we're going to adhere our tree trunks. And when I fussy cut them, I left a little tab on the top so that we had room to adhere our trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and add just a dot of glue. Glue dot would work well here too. And I'm just going to go through and just adhere the tree to the trunk. Just placing the tree onto the trunk, and that will adhere it. Okay, I'm going to set those aside to dry. And I've also pre-cut a stitched rectangle from the stitched rectangle dies. So this one is out of this larger stack over here. This is the third smallest out of this larger stack. And that's the one I've pre-fussy cut. And so our trees will get layered onto that, but let's stamp our greeting piece. So I have a piece that is about 3/4 inch tall, and I'm going to stamp the greeting. This greeting is also from that triangle stamp set. I'm going to use real red and joy and cheer. Perfect. And let's move all of our inks out of the way, and then I'm going to just cut the ends into a flag. I did use the banner punch on this one, but I forgot to grab that before the video, so I'm just going to use my scissors to do this, and that works too. Although if you have the pick a banner punch, I would use that one. So that is all of our pieces. Let's get these all assembled. On all of my trees, I'm going to use some dimensionals. Just be careful that these taller trees, the dimensionals will hang off. So really I'm only going to put dimensionals on the bottom of all of them. Okay, so we're going to start with taking all the backings off. We'll start with this tree, the tallest one. That will get lined up over here. The red tree will go right next to it, and then our fun little poinsettia tree will go right on top. And just to add some extra sparkle to our poinsettia tree, I'm going to pull in my red rhinestones, and I'm going to add a rhinestone to the center of all of these flowers. And that's just really going to step this project up. And might be one more reason why maybe you want to give this to somebody really special. Okay, Now that we have all that done, we are ready to add it to our box. So let's use some dimensionals again. So I'm just going to use a piece right across the center here. This will hang off just a little bit, so you don't want to put adhesive all the way to the ends. And I'm just going to set that down. And I am going to, let's see, do I have more dimensionals? Let me see. Run out of dimensionals, you guys. Not really. Okay, I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this, the greeting, and we're going to add that on. Let me see, I got my dimensional on crooked. Hang on. There we go. We're going to add this on to the right below it. And then to finish it off for some extra, we're going to add some ribbon. Now I am using some linen thread, and this is Mossy Meadow braided linen trim, and this is coming in the new January through June mini catalog. So the Mossy Meadow trim is not available yet, but you could do this with any of our ribbons. But I'm doubling up on the ribbon. I have some linen thread, I have some Mossy Meadow braided trim, and we're going to just tie a bow, and I have way too much ribbon here. So let's try to reel this back a little bit. Okay, now I do apologize. You will have to watch me tie bow on camera, which could be painful, but we're gonna try to make it work. Just tying a bow down here, just like this. I'm gonna grab some ribbon scissors and just trim that off and trim this tail and move everything out of the way. You have your beautiful box. So you can kind of fix the ribbon so you can read the greeting, but there is that box, and when you open it up, you have those beautiful nutcrackers in there, a little shadow box. So I hope you like this tree box and that you make it. It's really fun to make, and let me know how you get on. All right, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.